Hey, amazing learners! Welcome back to another episode.
Hi, everyone. We're really happy you're here with us today.
Wherever you're listening from, maybe you're at home, maybe driving, or maybe walking outside, thank you for spending a few minutes learning English with us.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Learning a language is a journey, and we're glad to be part of it with you.
So, David, before we start today's topic, I have to ask, how was your weekend?
Honestly, it was very relaxing. I didn't do anything too exciting. I stayed at home, watched a movie, and tried to cook something new.
Tried?
Yes, tried. That word is important here.
That sounds suspicious already.
Well, it seemed like a great idea at the beginning.
Listen to that word, seemed.
Exactly. That word is actually perfect for today's lesson.
Now I'm curious, how did the food look?
Honestly, it looked amazing.
Really?
Yes, the presentation was perfect, the colors were nice, everything looked like something from a cooking show.
But I hear a but coming.
Yes, but it didn't taste amazing.
Oh no.
So it looked great, but it didn't taste great.
That's actually a perfect example for today's topic.
Exactly, because today we're talking about a very common confusion in English.
The difference between the words seems and looks.
These two words are very small,
Very small.
but they can change the meaning of a sentence in important ways.
And many English learners use them in the wrong situations.
Or they use only the word looks for everything.
Yes, many learners say it looks good in every situation.
Even when they're not talking about something visual.
So today, we're going to fix that
We'll explain the difference clearly
with simple examples from everyday life.
and with natural conversations so you can hear how native speakers actually use these words.
Before we continue, if you enjoy learning English in this relaxed way, don't forget to like the episode.
And subscribe so you don't miss future lessons.
Also, try to practice by speaking some of the sentences out loud.
Speaking out loud helps your brain remember the language much better.
All right, let's begin slowly with a simple question.
When you hear the word looks, what do you think about first?
For me, I immediately think about something visual.
Exactly, something you can see with your eyes.
That's the key idea.
The word looks is often about appearance.
For example, you might say, she looks tired.
In that situation, you are probably observing her face.
Maybe her eyes look heavy.
Maybe she is moving slowly or yawning.
So based on what you see, you say, she looks tired.
Let's try another example.
The sky looks dark.
In that case, you see dark clouds in the sky.
And you might think it will rain soon.
Notice something interesting here.
You didn't say, the sky seems dark,
Technically, you could say that.
but it would create a slightly different feeling.
And that's where the deeper meaning begins.
Let's make the rule very clear.
We usually use looks when we talk about what we see.
For example, she looks happy.
He looks older.
That cape looks delicious.
In all of these sentences, you are describing something visual.
Now, let's imagine a small situation.
Imagine a friend walks into the room.
Their hair is messy.
Their clothes are wrinkled.
Maybe they look a little slow and tired.
In that moment, you might say, "You look tired."
Because you can clearly see the signs.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the word seems.
This word works a little differently.
Seems is not only about what you see,
It's more about your impression,
your feeling.
your interpretation of a situation.
For example, you might say, she seems upset.
Maybe she is very quiet.
Maybe she's not talking much.
Maybe she answers questions very briefly.
You might not see tears or an angry face,
But something about her behavior gives you a feeling.
and that's why you use the word seems.
So the difference becomes clearer when we compare them directly.
She looks tired.
That's based on physical appearance.
She seems tired.
That's based on your interpretation of her behavior.
In everyday conversation, we often move between these two types of observation
What we see,
and what we feel or interpret.
understanding this small difference can make your English sound much more natural.
And that's exactly what we want to help you achieve. She looks angry.
Why do you say that?
Well, maybe her face is red and her eyebrows are pulled down. Those are clear physical signs that we can see.
Right, those are strong visual clues. When we can clearly see something with our eyes, we often use the word looks.
Exactly. But if I say she seems angry, the meaning changes a little.
Yes, because now you might not see obvious signs. Maybe she's speaking in a cold tone, or maybe her attitude feels different.
So you're not completely sure, you just have a feeling about her mood.
That's right. The word seems often includes some uncertainty. It's more about your impression than what you clearly see.
That's a really important difference. Let's imagine another situation. Suppose you meet your friend after a long time.
Okay?
You see them smiling brightly. Their face looks cheerful.
In that case, you would probably say, "You look happy."
Exactly, because I can see the smile with my eyes.
But what if your friend doesn't talk much during the conversation? Maybe they are quiet or a little distant.
Then I might say, you seem different today.
Right, because now you're not only talking about appearance, you're talking about behavior and energy.
Yes, sometimes it's about the feeling we get from someone, not just what we see.
Now let's talk about the structure of these sentences.
Good idea. Most of the time, both looks and seems are followed by adjectives.
For example, she looks tired.
Or, he seems busy.
Very simple and very common.
We can also use another structure. For example, it looks like it's going to rain.
And similarly, it seems like he's upset.
Yes, looks like and seems like are extremely common in everyday English.
We will explore those expressions more deeply later because the word like changes the structure slightly.
That's true. But first, let's practice together with a few simple situations.
Great idea.
Imagine the food on your plate is beautifully presented. The colors are bright and the dish looks amazing.
Then you would probably say, "It looks delicious."
Exactly, because you are reacting to what you see.
Now imagine your friend is quiet and serious today.
Maybe she's thinking a lot or seems a little stressed.
In that situation, you might say, "She seems worried."
Good. Notice the difference happening in your mind.
Looks is usually connected to visual evidence.
And seems is often connected to impressions, feelings, or general observations.
You could say it like this: looks is about appearance.
And seems is about perception or feeling.
That's really the foundation of this topic.
At first, this topic seems very simple.
But actually, it's a little deeper than it looks.
That was a perfect example.
Yes, in that one sentence, we used both words with different meanings.
And that's exactly why understanding this difference can help your English sound more natural.
So let's summarize what we learned so far.
Looks describes what you see.
Seems describes what you feel, think, or assume.
Now that we have built the foundation, we can go a little deeper.
Because in real life, things are not always black and white.
Exactly. Let's start with two very common expressions, looks like and seems like.
You hear these expressions everywhere in English conversations.
In movies, in everyday talk, even in office conversations.
But many English learners are not sure when to choose one or the other.
We usually use looks like when we make a conclusion based on what we can see.
For example, it looks like it's going to rain.
Why? Because the sky is dark and you can see heavy clouds.
Another example is, it looks like he didn't sleep last night.
Maybe his eyes are red, or maybe he keeps yawning.
So again, you are using visual evidence.
Now listen carefully to a slightly different sentence. It seems like he didn't sleep.
What's the difference this time?
Maybe you don't see red eyes or yawning.
Maybe he is speaking slowly, forgetting simple things, or acting unusually quiet.
Your conclusion is based more on behavior and general feeling.
That's an important point.
Looks like feels a little more concrete and physical.
while seems like feels softer and more emotional.
Understanding this subtle difference will help you sound much more natural when speaking English. When we use the word seems, it often shows a little more uncertainty.
Right. It suggests that we are not completely sure. We're making a guess based on what we feel or observe.
For example, you might say, "It looks like she's angry."
In that sentence, there's probably a strong visual signal. Maybe her face is red, her eyebrows are tight, or her body language looks tense.
Exactly. Those are clear things you can see with your eyes.
But if you say, "It seems like she's angry," the feeling is slightly different.
Yes, because now you might not be completely sure. Maybe you are guessing based on her tone of voice or the way she is speaking.
So the sentence becomes softer and less certain.
Let's imagine an office situation to make this clearer.
Okay, picture this. You walk into the office and notice that your colleague is very quiet today.
Maybe she usually talks a lot, but today she is silent and focused.
In that case, you might say, "She seems stressed."
Exactly. Stress is not always visible. You can't always see it directly on someone's face.
Now imagine a different situation in the same office.
Your colleague's desk is covered with papers. There are files everywhere, and she's typing quickly.
In that situation, you might say, "It looks like you're busy."
Because now you can clearly see physical evidence.
So your choice between looks and seems often depends on the type of information you have.
Visual evidence usually leads to looks.
And impressions, behavior, or feelings often lead to seems.
Now, here's an interesting point. Sometimes both looks and seems are possible in the same sentence.
Yes, but the feeling of the sentence changes slightly.
For example, you might say, "It looks difficult."
That suggests you are looking at something complex. Maybe you see a complicated machine or a difficult math problem.
But you could also say, "It seems difficult."
In that case, maybe someone explained the task to you.
Or maybe you heard others talking about how challenging it is.
So you didn't see the difficulty directly, but you believe it is difficult.
Both sentences are correct, but the source of information is different.
Exactly. One comes from what you see, and the other comes from what you think or hear.
Let's practice with some everyday sentences.
Good idea.
Imagine you see a beautifully prepared dish at a restaurant.
The colors look bright, and the presentation is perfect.
You might say, "The food looks amazing."
Because your opinion is based on appearance.
Now, imagine your friend tells you about a restaurant that everyone loves.
You haven't seen the food yet, but people describe it very positively.
Then you might say, "The food seems amazing."
Exactly. Your opinion is based on what you heard, not what you saw.
Let's try another example.
Sure.
He looks confident.
That suggests you can see his body language. Maybe he stands straight, makes eye contact, and smiles.
But if you say he seems confident, the meaning shifts slightly.
Maybe he speaks calmly, answers questions clearly, and doesn't hesitate.
So again, the difference is subtle.
Yes, it's small, but native speakers can feel it naturally.
Now let's talk about emotions.
That's an important area because emotions often use the word seems.
For example, you might say, "You seem upset."
That sounds softer than saying you look upset.
Right. "You look upset" focuses mainly on the person's face.
Maybe their eyes look watery or their expression is sad.
But "you seem upset" focuses more on their behavior and emotional energy.
Maybe they are quiet, distracted, or speaking in a different tone.
Sometimes the word "seem" sounds more polite.
Yes, because you are not claiming that you are completely right.
You are leaving space for the other person to explain their feelings.
That's very important in communication.
There is also another structure we should mention.
You mean the structure seems to be,
Exactly. For example, "He seems to be tired."
or she seems to be working very hard.
This structure sounds slightly more formal.
You often hear it in professional English.
It's also common in news reports or formal discussions.
For example, someone might say, "The company seems to be growing."
That sounds very natural in business or reporting contexts.
Let's act out a small situation to see how this works in real life.
Great idea. Imagine you walk into a room and look outside through the window.
The sky is dark and heavy clouds are moving in.
You might say, "It looks like it's going to rain."
Now imagine your friend sitting next to you.
They're silent and distracted.
You might say, "You seem worried. Is everything okay?"
Perfect example. One observation is visual.
And the other observation is emotional.
Now let's fix some common mistakes that English learners often make.
Good idea.
Mistake number 1, using seems only for physical things.
For example, someone might say, "The cake seems beautiful."
That sounds a little strange,
A better sentence would be, "The cake looks beautiful."
because beauty in this case is something you see.
Mistake number 2, overusing looks for emotional impressions.
For example, saying, "You look sad" when you are only guessing based on behavior,
Sometimes it is more natural to say, "You seem sad."
because you are interpreting their mood, not just their appearance.
Mistake number 3 is incorrect sentence structure.
For example, saying, "He seems angry face."
That sentence is incorrect.
The correct structure is, "He seems angry."
Remember that an adjective usually comes after seems.
Exactly. Seems plus adjective is the natural pattern.
Once you understand these small details, your English will sound much more natural.
Now let's continue with another important structure.
Yes, we can use looks like or seems like followed by a full sentence.
Exactly. For example, you might say, "It looks like it's going to rain."
Or, "It seems like he forgot the meeting."
Both structures are very common in everyday English.
Let's try a small test to practice.
Good idea. I'll describe a situation and you choose whether looks or seems is more natural.
Sounds fun. Let's start.
First situation, you look up at the sky and see smoke rising in the distance.
In that case, I would say, "It looks like something is burning."
Exactly, because you can see the smoke with your eyes.
That's strong visual evidence.
Here's the next one. Your friend answers your questions very briefly and avoids eye contact.
In that situation, I might say, "He seems worried. Is everything okay?"
Perfect example. One observation is visual.
And the other observation is emotional.
Now let's fix some common mistakes that English learners often make.
Good idea.
Mistake number 1, using seems only for physical things.
For example, someone might say, "The cake seems beautiful."
That sounds a little strange,
A better sentence would be, "The cake looks beautiful."
because beauty in this case is something you see.
Mistake number 2, overusing looks for emotional impressions.
For example, saying, "You look sad" when you are only guessing based on behavior,
Sometimes it is more natural to say, "You seem sad."
because you are interpreting their mood, not just their appearance.
Mistake number 3 is incorrect sentence structure.
For example, saying, "He seems angry face."
That sentence is incorrect.
The correct structure is, "He seems angry."
Remember that an adjective usually comes after seems.
Exactly. Seems plus adjective is the natural pattern.
Once you understand these small details, your English will sound much more natural.
Now let's continue with another important structure.
Yes, we can use looks like or seems like followed by a full sentence.
Exactly. For example, you might say, "It looks like it's going to rain."
Or, "It seems like he forgot the meeting."
Both structures are very common in everyday English.
Let's try a small test to practice.
Good idea. I'll describe a situation and you choose whether looks or seems is more natural.
Sounds fun. Let's start.
First situation, you look up at the sky and see smoke rising in the distance.
In that case, I would say, "It looks like something is burning."
Exactly, because you can see the smoke with your eyes.
That's strong visual evidence.
Here's the next one. Your friend answers your questions very briefly and avoids eye contact.
In that situation, I might say, "He seems worried. Is everything okay?"
Right, you don't necessarily see clear physical signs, but his behavior gives you a feeling.
Let's try another example.
You see someone smiling brightly and laughing with friends.
That's easy. She looks happy.
Perfect. The smile is clear visual evidence.
What's the next situation?
Someone talks confidently about their big dreams and future plans.
Then I would probably say he seems ambitious.
Very good.
So again, the difference is about where your information comes from.
Exactly. This topic might look simple at first.
But it seems deeper once you start practicing it.
Nice example.
In that sentence, we used both words again with different meanings.
And that's how you grow in English.
By noticing small differences in how words are used.
Because fluency is often hidden in the details.
Let's review the basic idea again.
Looks usually connects to visual information.
And seems is more about impressions, feelings, or interpretation.
But real English is not always perfectly clear.
That's true. Sometimes the difference between the two words is very small.
And that's where fluency really begins.
Let's look at an example sentence.
She looks nervous.
That sounds completely natural.
Now change it slightly. She seems nervous.
Also completely natural.
So what's the real difference?
When you say she looks nervous, you are focusing on what you see.
Maybe her hands are shaking.
Maybe she keeps looking down or avoiding eye contact.
Those are visible signs.
But when you say she seems nervous, the focus is a little different.
Maybe her voice is quiet.
Maybe she pauses before answering questions.
Maybe her overall energy feels tense.
Exactly. The difference here is not really grammar.
It's perspective.
And that's why advanced learners sometimes struggle with these words.
Because both sentences are correct.
But the feeling of the sentence changes slightly.
Let's imagine a real-life situation.
Okay?
Imagine you just started a new job.
You walk into the office on your first day.
Your boss greets you with a smile and says, "Welcome to the team."
In that moment, you might think he looks friendly.
Right, because you can clearly see the smile.
But later in the day, something changes.
Your boss starts giving you many tasks quickly.
He speaks in a very focused and serious tone.
Now your impression might change.
You might say, he seems very serious.
Exactly.
You didn't just see seriousness on his face.
You felt it from his behavior and the way he works.
And that's the key idea.
There's also something important about the word seem.
Yes, it often sounds softer and more careful.
For example, imagine someone is very quiet today.
You might say, you seem tired.
That sounds gentle and understanding.
But if you say, you look tired, it can sound more direct.
Sometimes it might even feel like criticism.
Exactly.
You seem tired leaves more space for the other person.
It shows empathy and consideration.
So choosing the right word can actually change the tone of your message.
And that's powerful communication.
Now, let's level up our sentences a little.
We can add adverbs to make our descriptions stronger.
For example, she looks really happy.
Or he seems very confident.
These sound very natural in everyday conversation.
But remember to ask yourself one question.
Yes, what is the source of your information?
Are you seeing something clearly?
Or are you feeling an impression from behavior or context?
That question helps you choose the right word.
Now, let's introduce a slightly more advanced word.
The word is appears,
It has a meaning very similar to seems.
but it sounds more formal.
For example, you might say, he appears confident.
You will often hear this word in news reports.
Or in formal writing and professional discussions.
For example, a reporter might say, the company appears to be growing quickly.
So while seems is common in everyday conversation,
Appears is often used in more formal situations.
let's continue with another useful word related to seems.
You mean the word appears, right?
Exactly. For example, someone might say, the company appears to be growing.
That sentence is very similar to saying, the company seems to be growing.
Yes, the meaning is almost the same.
The difference is mainly in tone and formality.
Right. In daily conversation, people usually say seems.
Because it sounds natural and relaxed.
But the word appears sounds a little more professional.
That's why you often hear it in news reports, presentations, or academic writing.
So if you're speaking casually with friends, it's better to say seems.
But if you are writing an academic report or a formal document, you might choose appears.
Let's compare 3 similar sentences.
Good idea.
First sentence, she looks confident.
In this case, you are probably observing physical signs.
Maybe she is standing straight.
Maybe she is smiling and making strong eye contact.
Now the second sentence, she seems confident.
Here, the idea is slightly different.
You might not only be looking at her face,
You might also notice how she speaks or answers questions.
so your judgment is based on an overall impression.
Now let's try the third sentence.
She appears confident,
The meaning is still very similar.
but the tone sounds more formal and professional.
So we can summarize it like this.
Looks is usually based on physical signs,
Seems is based on general impressions.
and appears expresses the same idea in a more formal style.
Same basic meaning, but different style and tone.
Let's create a natural conversation example.
Good idea.
Imagine you are talking with a friend.
Okay?
You say, I saw Sarah today.
And your friend replies, "Oh really? How did she look?"
You answer, she looked happy.
That sounds positive.
But then you add, however, she seemed distracted.
Interesting.
Notice how both words appear naturally in the same conversation.
Yes, one comment is about her facial expression.
And the other comment is about her behavior.
That's exactly how native speakers use these words.
Let's imagine another situation.
An online meeting, perhaps.
Perfect example.
Someone turns on their camera at the beginning of the meeting.
You might say, you look very professional today.
That's a nice compliment.
Maybe they are wearing formal clothes and sitting in a tidy office.
But during the meeting, they don't talk very much.
They stay quiet and avoid giving opinions.
In that moment, you might think, she seems unsure,
Not because of her appearance.
but because of her participation in the conversation,
So in one situation, both words can appear naturally.
each describing a different type of observation.
Now let's talk about confidence when speaking English.
Many learners make a common mistake,
Yes, they often say, it looks good for almost everything.
even when they are talking about ideas or plans,
For example, someone explains a project or business plan.
and the listener says, it looks good.
But in reality, they are not seeing anything.
They are listening to an explanation.
So a more natural sentence would be, it seems like a good idea,
Exactly.
because the judgment is based on thinking and understanding.
Not on visual evidence.
That kind of thinking shows more advanced English awareness.
Let's test your understanding again.
Situation number 1.
You see dark circles under someone's eyes.
What would you say?
You look tired.
Correct, because you can clearly see physical signs.
Situation number 2.
Your friend cancels plans and speaks slowly on the phone.
In that case, I might say, you seem tired,
Very good.
because now the impression comes from behavior and tone.
Situation number 3.
You were reading a business report.
The report describes a company with growing profits.
You might say, the company seems successful.
Or, in a more formal style, the company appears successful.
Excellent.
This topic probably seems much clearer now.
And it also looks easier than many people think.
Nice use of both words again.
Yes, we used seems and looks naturally in the same sentence.
And that's the real goal when learning English.
Not just memorizing rules.
But feeling the subtle differences between words.
So now we've explored this topic from many angles.
We talked about visual evidence,
Emotional impressions,
tone, and politeness.
and even formality in language.
Now let's imagine a small story to bring everything together.
Great idea.
Imagine you meet a friend after a very long time.
At first, you simply look at them carefully.
You might say, you look different,
Maybe they have a new haircut.
or they're wearing different clothes than usual.
That's your first observation based on appearance.
Then you start talking for a few minutes.
During the conversation, you feel that something is not quite right.
Your friend speaks less than usual.
They seem quiet and thoughtful.
So you say, you seem quiet today.
Notice the shift in language.
The first observation was physical.
But the second observation was emotional and behavioral.
And that's exactly how looks and seems work together in real English conversation. So earlier, we talked about how the first observation in many situations is often visual.
Right, and sometimes the next observation is emotional or based on feeling.
Exactly. That's actually how real conversations work in everyday life.
We first notice what our eyes can see, and then we interpret what we feel from the situation.
Let's imagine a simple example.
Okay.
Imagine you go to a party with your friends.
The moment you enter the room, you notice the decorations.
Maybe there are colorful lights, beautiful flowers, and elegant tables.
Everything looks organized and attractive.
In that moment, you might say, "This place looks amazing."
Because your opinion is based on what you can clearly see.
Exactly. But after a while, you start observing the people around you.
You notice people laughing, talking, and dancing.
The music is lively and everyone seems relaxed.
Then you might say, everyone seems happy.
Notice the difference there.
The first sentence was based on visual appearance.
The second sentence was based on the atmosphere and emotional energy of the room.
You're not just looking anymore.
You're feeling the mood of the people.
And that's an important difference.
Looks often describes what your eyes see.
Seems often describes the feeling or impression you get.
Now let's imagine another situation.
Suppose you receive an email from someone at work.
The message is very short.
There are no emojis, no friendly greetings, and no explanation.
After reading it, you might think, "He seems upset."
Because you are interpreting the tone of the message.
Exactly.
But imagine a different situation.
This time you see the same person in real life.
His arms are crossed and his face looks serious.
Maybe he avoids talking and looks frustrated.
In that moment, you might say, he looks upset.
So again, we have two different sources of information.
One comes from feeling or interpretation.
And the other comes from visual evidence.
Here's something interesting.
Sometimes you can use both looks and seems in the same sentence.
That's true, and it can actually make your English sound very natural.
For example, you might say, "She looks calm, but she seems worried,"
That sentence is very powerful.
because it shows two different layers of observation.
Maybe she is smiling and speaking politely,
On the surface, she looks calm.
but maybe her voice shakes slightly.
Or maybe she pauses often before speaking.
In that case, she seems worried.
Practicing these kinds of descriptions helps your English become more natural.
Try observing people around you in daily life.
Notice their expressions, behavior, and tone.
Then describe what you see and what you feel.
Remember, English is not only about grammar rules.
It's also about observation.
It's about emotion.
And it's about awareness.
When you choose between looks and seems, you are choosing a perspective.
Are you describing what your eyes see?
Or are you describing what your mind and feelings understand?
That small difference makes your English stronger,
More human
more natural.
and more confident.
At the beginning, today's topic might have looked very simple.
But after exploring it together, it probably seems much deeper now.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of learning English step by step.
Each small detail helps you improve.
If this conversation helped you understand the difference clearly,
Don't forget to share it with someone who is learning English too.
maybe a friend who always says, "It looks good" for everything.
Yes, we all know someone like that.
But most importantly, keep practicing.
Because the more you notice small differences in language,
The more fluent and confident you will become.
we'll see you again in the next lesson.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking English with confidence.
Bye, everyone.